Good morning. I thought it would be fun to taste some old Jamaican rum today. So literally twos of you have asked me, "Hey Scott, are you going to review the brand new Appleton 17 Legend, the recreation of the legendary Ray and Nephew 17-year-old that is behind the original Mai Tai?" And my answer is no. Sorry. I admire kind of what they've done in principle. They could have just taken some stocks and bottled them as a 17-year-old and charged a lot of money, but they seem to have actually gone through the effort of trying to recreate this old blend, including making components that they just didn't make anymore, and then aging those components for 17 years. That's really cool. I admire that. I think it's great. I cannot pay 500 bones or more for a 17-year-old relatively low ester rum. I just can't do it. Is it going to be good? Yeah, of course. I mean, is it going to be great? I've had the run up to this, right? The Appleton's Heart series. I've had a bunch of those. They're lovely. I wouldn't buy a bottle of those, and those are less expensive. So, no, I'm probably not going to try the Appleton Legend, which is a little bit of a shame because I wish there were more useful reviews of it out there so that people wouldn't know what they're getting into. But you know what? If you are in the market for older Jamaican rum, you have options. They're not cheap options, but they're cheaper than Appleton 17-year-old Legend. All right, and with that in mind, let's taste some old New Yarmouths and Clarendons. So all of these are picks by the Aficionados group. I've done some other reviews by them for a while. Full disclosure, I hang out with these guys, so I've got a little bit of a conflict of interest there, but, be aware. And Fine Drams, which is an online Europe-based retailer. So let's get these things poured. Now these are very interesting because you don't see a whole lot of bottlings of, at least they don't, New Yarmouth and Clarendon don't get a whole lot of love. It tends to be Hampden and Worthy Park. Occasionally Long Pond as well. These are kind of the unsung heroes of the Jamaican rum world. So I really am looking forward to the chance of putting a little bit of a spotlight on what these things can do when they get a lot of age on them. Now, all of these were almost entirely tropically aged except for the last year or so of their life, which is interesting because I have my doubts that, Clarendon and New Yarmouth just opened up their, their warehouses to the extent that they have warehousing to, the Aficionados group. So I am guessing there had to be some third-party negotiant that wanted to sell off some stocks, and this is the product of that. Okay. What we are dealing with here, the Clarendons are pot still. The New Yarmouths are column still. These are all... and I will say, to some extent, the New Yarmouths are the ones I'm most curious about. Okay, let's get into talking about what these are. So I have two 26-year-old New Yarmouths. These are column distilled. They were both distilled November 27th, 1994, bottled September 2021. Aged in American oak, mostly tropically aged. The reason why these are interesting is because New Yarmouth is the source of the Ray and Nephew overproof blend. I have tried pot still New Yarmouth before, which is part of the interesting side of that blend, but I've never tried the column still side of it on its own. And I've always thought, in the back of my brain, the column still side of Ray and Nephew is interesting enough on its own to deserve some attention. So let's give these things a shot. This first glass here is 68% alcohol by volume, and it is cask number 435043. And let's get into it. On the nose. It's a very intense nose. It's very, very woody. I mean, all these are going to be woody, right? You're talking, what, a minimum 22 years of tropical aging. So, yeah. Do not go into this unless you are looking for the wood. But I don't know why you would be watching this if you weren't. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking about that. Yeah, this smells like I am walking into like a cigar rolling factory and then sticking some like fresh mint leaves up my nose. That is kind of the effect here. Yeah, just lots of aged tobacco, herbaceousness, menthol, some incense. I mean, vanilla, yes, quite a lot of vanilla, like ashy notes. But they're almost like desserty ashy notes. It's almost like burned marshmallow. I was always the kid who stuck my marshmallow in the fire and let it like totally light up and let it like burn a little bit before, not a little bit, a lot bit before I would finally put it out and then eat the thing. God, they were good that way. Probably very carcinogenic, but good. And then you were getting a lot of notes to remind you that this is a rum. This is not a bourbon. No, no, no. You are getting black olive, fennel. Kind of like a Coca-Cola note, but it's not. It's almost like the syrup. You know, the syrup before it's mixed with bubbly. That's really kind of what I'm smelling here, like Coke concentrate. A lot of wood. There's like some fresh coffee cake notes. Definitely some like cinnamony cakey things. Dried cherry. Sweet tea. Some cough drops. Definitely not shy about showing off its age and its oak. Definitely not. Good nose. This smells like about as good as you're gonna get with kind of multi-column industrial column distillate. I mean, I'm looking forward to this. Oh man, dry. Yeah, this again is. I'll just repeat what I said. This feels like about as good as you're going to get with aged, refined column still distillate. That's really oaky. I'm going to need some more in my glass. Hold on. I did not pour these evenly. Jeez, I'm getting it everywhere. It is so dry. Okay, mentholated sweet tea. I know that doesn't make sense, but that's what I'm getting. Maybe throw some vanilla and dried cherry in there, some salted licorice. Ooh. I do like that these are half bottles, by the way. I think this was a smart move on the part of the pickers. Just like spread the cost around, make them available. There are some sister casks for all of these out there, and they are considerably more expensive than these. And not just because they're getting higher volume. Jesus. There is... I want to talk about the form of this in a minute, but let me get some more notes on the table. There's some Fizz bitters happening. Whatever the basic one is. I can't remember the name. Muddled mint. So you're going to muddle your mint in your Fizz bitters. Cold brew coffee. But like, it's almost like you tried to make some cold brew coffee with some root beer. So it's coffee root beer. That sounds disgusting, but that's kind of what I'm getting. Just a lot of ashiness. But nice. It's, again, that kind of burned marshmallow thing. Very, not very, it's fairly forward in the mouth. Like, this is not going too far past my molars. There's a little bit of a nice warmth in my throat. I'm getting a little bit of a Kentucky hug from this. But yeah, I mean, this is part of the nature of refined column distillate. Is it just it doesn't have a whole lot of mouth length to it. It also feels, just despite the enormous amount of wood on this, it feels just a hair bit thin, maybe. Oh, that Coca-Cola syrup thing again. So mix your Coca-Cola syrup with cough drops and maybe like some stoved Virginia tobacco, some cinnamon in there, and you're getting a lot of what this is. Geez, you have to like the wood. You have to be willing to go with the wood on that, with the wood on this. If you are, this is delightful. I'm gonna add water. What I really hope the water will do is kind of bring out the body of this, and improve the mouth length, improve the finish, improve the feel. What I'm worrying it will do is it will, really bring out the oak even more in a bad way. 4, 5. I'm not even gonna flirt. This needs a 6 squirt. There we go. Squirt 6. We might even get to 7 on this. Six and a half. 6.5 squirts for the what cask is this? 435043. That is, did I mention this is a strong stuff? 68% alcohol. You are getting your money's worth here. All right, moving on to a second sister cask, distilled same day. It's just this is cask 435059. Basically everything the same except the ABV is 68.5. I am guessing most of these were reduced a hair bit just so you could like ship them legally without needing a hazmat license. I kind of under poured this one too. I'm gonna fix that mistake. But are you really complaining that something is a mere 68.5% alcohol? Are you really going to be that guy? All right, here we go. New Yarmouth Cask 435059 on the nose. Okay, so similar sort of note. How do I put this? It's a similar kind of nose. But we're much more, the woody aspect of this is moving away from like cigar shop and like herbaceousness and more towards just like kind of overt woody notes. What I'm talking about is I'm still getting like the like I'm smelling some cigars and some mint and some menthol, but it really just smells like I'm inside like a workshop, like a reclaimed wood workshop where they're, building stuff and sawing away at, 120, 150 year old, ex-barn wood. Yeah, it really just smells like old sawdust. And I'm kind of into that. Some banana peel coming out. Interesting. So this feels like, in a funny way, in a good way, this feels fresher than the previous glass. It's still 26 years old, but this feels a little, and it's still very, very woody, but it feels like a younger rum than it actually is. Or maybe that's just the banana peel thing throwing me off. Dried cherry, there's a little bit of, it's not really licorice, it's almost an absinthe note. Yeah, let's just go with absinthe. Touch of black olive. The menthol Coke syrup cough drop thing, it's still there, but it's much more kind of restrained. Black pepper, some RC cola along alongside the Coke this time. Sweet tea, kind of cinnamony, nutty, confected. Actually, you know what this smells like? Okay, this is another. I feel like I'm laying out way too many like obscure food notes in the last couple of videos, but one more. Allow me one more. Lane cake. Lane cake is a very hardcore, like far south thing. Imagine like, you invade the home of a very kind Southern grandma, and you somehow avoid political discussion long enough for her to give you a cake with not icing, but the filling made with just tons of bourbon and like nuts and fruit, like dried orange, dried raisin, cinnamon, and then just tons of icing and southern cakiness, and then tons more fruit on top. That's what this smells like. This smells like lane cake, and I'm totally into it. That extra freshness is really kind of winning this over for me over the previous glass. But I think water's going to decide this on the palate. Oh, are you kidding me? Terrific. Oh, that's yummy. I know I said the last one felt about as good as, multi-column distilled rum can get. This one might be better. Vanilla, marzipan. So, well, really just lane cake all over again. Cherry, dried cherry. Ashy, smoky stuff. Cigars, Nicaraguan cigars. I mean, it feels like I am like eating a giant slice of lane cake in the middle of a cigar lounge. That's what the vibe on this really is. There's some menthol in there too, so maybe Southern Grandma also got a little crazy with the herbs this time. Look at this. I'm drinking this. Sweet tea. It's just very cohesive, and it's still quite fresh. Like I don't feel like I'm picking splinters out of my teeth. You can tell the wood is there, but it's all in balance. It's all in harmony. Some nice cola cube notes, black licorice, fresh herbs, more ash. Yeah, it's still got the same form as the previous one. It's still pretty forward in the mouth, with a little bit of a heat in my throat, probably due to just the strength of this. But still not a ton of mouth length on this. It hangs around pretty well. Still feels a hair bit thin, but there's like a freshness and a hedonism on this, which was not there in the first one. That is, it's making me happy. Put it that way. These are both very good, though. I'm gonna give that another squirt of water. Squirt of water, like 6 squirts. 4, 5, 6, and maybe more. Could you do this with Appleton 17? No, you couldn't, because it's bottled at what, 48, 49%, something like that? Where's the fun in that? I know they're expensive. I know they're column still rum, and when you buy Jamaica, you want to get something out of a pot still. But I'm telling you, these might be worth a look. Okay, let us move on to the Clarendons. All right, we have got two here. Well, obviously. The first one is a 23-year-old distilled in November 1987. This is cask 432893. Again, mostly almost entirely tropically aged and bottled at 68.5%. I have no idea what the mark is on this, but I'm guessing none of these are particularly, none of these are particularly high in esters. But this one is pot still. And yeah, here we go. Oh man, okay. Immediately you can tell this came out of a pot still. There is just a crazy floral thing happening, which you just don't get out of like refined molasses-based column distillate. Man, okay, so we're getting just like oaky flowers, or maybe floral oak. I don't know. Some combination. Exotic woods, just like, balsa woods, orange peel, dried cherry, maraschino cherry as well. It's almost like a Pepsi reduction sauce on this. So boil down some Pepsi. Cough drops again. There's tea notes on this, but it's Lapsang Souchong this time. Like it is smoky tea. Rum raisin ice cream. Yeah. Lots of white pepper. I mean, on the nose, initially, quite a lot of vanilla. This just screams like relatively low ester, high oak rum. That's what I'm getting. Yeah, it's really the exotic wood. The incense is very evident. Let's see what happens on the palate. A little bit of a, oh Jesus, a little bit of a chutes and ladders thing happening in the transition between these two. The previous New Yarmouth is much more hedonistic and kind of delicious and easy to drink. I might choose it depending on my mood. This Clarendon, this Moni Musk, you can call the rum both, it's just more serious. Like this is more, it's got a more serious finish, more serious mouthfeel, more serious mouth length. Like this is going way, way back past my molars. It just feels like meaner isn't the right word. Like this is a very good rum. Probably technically better than the previous one. I can't imagine this Clarendon ever cracking a joke. Put it that way. Oh man, this is good. Cough drops, dried flowers, menthol again. So lots of similar notes. A lot of this is the wood, right? Cherry cola. But like bone dry, peppery cherry cola with a little ash. All the teas. There's almost a Mar-like or Pomace brandy-like tea and tobacco element here. I'm definitely getting some sweet. I'm sorry. What did I write here? Yeah, sweet tea, English breakfast tea, a little bit of Lapsang Souchong again. Definitely some like different tobaccos, full Virginia flake. It's kind of a bit brutal, but very well made. Well, well made. I don't know if this was well made or not, but it just comes together. Tons of pepper and ash. This is another one where I'm curious to see where it goes with water. I get if the wood comes out beyond where it is now. I don't know how well this and I are going to get along, but if it's the distillate that comes out, then it's another story. 4, 5, 6. What I really want is for this to lighten up a little bit. Let those flowers and fruits kind of show through. Okay, and if that one was austere, I'm really scared what this next one is going to be. Okay, this is a 26-year-old Clarendon or Monimas, whichever you prefer. This was distilled July 1995. Again, bottled September 2021. Pot distilled, American oak, cask number 433946. Yeah, 68.3% alcohol by volume. Kind of a darker color than the previous one. Not by much, but a little bit. On the nose, similar kinds of vibes. Maybe a touch less kind of aromatic, less of the kind of floral stuff, more on, well, oakiness. So I'm getting, yeah, the Coke syrup thing again, like the Coca-Cola concentrate. Mint and basil and just like, yeah, straight up American oak. So we're not talking reclaimed wood workshop this time. We're talking just like cooperage. We're just talking oak sawdust flying all over the place. Dried cherry, cough drops, menthol. That's a kind of like dried flowers, but not as much as the previous one. It's more like a potpourri thing than a floral thing on this one, but not in a bad way. Like nice potpourri, presentable potpourri. There's a lot of nuttiness happening. Salted licorice. The teas are back. Just lots and lots of teas. And it sounds like there's a lot of common notes between all of these, yeah, that's because there's lots of common notes between all of these. And do keep that in mind when I think either one of these Clarendon's is already sold out. So when these are gone, don't think this is like these two New Yarmouths are crap because they're column distilled. They are not. These are decidedly not crappy, and they have a lot of the same notes as the Clarendon's do. Sorry for that interruption. Let's get back to this. Actually, after a moment, I am getting a little bit of that kind of reclaimed wood, like just old wood kind of smell now. Yeah, once again, this just really screams low-ester, old-ass rum. On the palate. Cool. Spicy. Very, very, very peppery up front. Also austere, like the previous glass, but It's actually surprisingly short in the mouth, like shorter than this first New Yarmouth was. Like this is kind of stopping short of my molars. I'm not even getting that kind of like Kentucky hug thing in my throat. Let me try that again. Yeah, it's all up front. Interesting. This is another one where I want to see what water does. Notes, ash and pepper, lots of it. Menthol-y cough drops. Very peppery, floral, some orange peel, like burned orange peel. Like burned orange peel you've like plunged into a whole bunch of like burned nutshells. There's some nuttiness going on. Really aggressive, like just tannins, peppery wood tannins on the finish. Cherry, banana peel, prunes, licorice. These are really tough. I've got some other videos lined up today. I don't know if my palate's going to be up for it. Jesus. There's like a Balkan pipe tobacco blend kind of thing going on. Like a hint of Latakia in there, but not too much. Oof. Yeah, I want to see what water does. Again, I'm really hoping water kind of softens this up a little bit. And before anyone asks, could you make Mai Tais with all of these? Yes, you could. Oh my God, absolutely. I do not guarantee that they would be better than Appleton 17, but they would be stronger, and they'd be pretty damn good. All right, let's go through these one more time. Look at this. My glass of water is like almost empty. I mean to run off and get more. Like these things are really taxing my palate right now. Okay, back to the first New Yarmouth, the 4350s 40. Wait, is it that symmetrical? Yeah, 4350 43. How good is that? Now with some water. Okay, the from what I remember, compared to what I remember of this, it's much more peppery and ashy than what it was before. But there's also a little bit of like marshmallow fluff coming out now. It's still the more austere cast between these two New Yarmouths, but it after the Monimus, the Clarendons. Like this feels like dessert. This is easy going. I can take this all day. Nice. Okay, so what I'm getting, the sense I'm getting from initial contact with water is it did not bring out the oak in a bad way. It brought it out a little bit in the sense of that extra ashiness, but it also brought out some nice kind of, desserty notes, which I'm enjoying. On the palate, just mending my grade there. Again, it gets more peppery, but at the same time, a little bit more decadent. We're sort of more approaching the style of this second bottle, the lane cake thing, but it's more like herbaceous, like peppery, ashy lane cake, if that makes sense. Tobacco, cola. cherry, yum. I mean, I don't know. It's the mouth length and the finish are maybe just a hair disappointing. It did bring up the texture. Water does bring up the texture on this. It feels a little bit more full on my mouth, but mouth length and finish still leave a hair bit to be desired. They're still good, but yeah, for something that's 26 years old, yeah. Certainly very good. I'm going to give this an 87 plus out of 100. Yeah, that's righteous. I like that a lot. It's just, you know, it's easy when you're sitting in my seat and being a rum nerd and everything to kind of write off all the column still rums, all the column still stuff. These are proof that you maybe shouldn't do that, because these can still be some really damn good rums. Okay, moving on to the cask 435059, which I preferred on first run through. Let's see what happens. Gets more aromatic, more a little bit more floral. There's some kind of oh, it's not orange peel. What is that? Certainly more floral, but oh, it's almost like an orange blossom honey thing. Yeah, there we go. It almost gets honeyed with water, which is fun. It's still very much on lane cake, but I'm cool with that. Like, I spent some time growing up in the South. I dealt with the politically unsavory nice grandmas. Yeah, it's a lot of ash and it's lane cake. That's most of what's going on, and I'm into that. On the palate, oh yeah. Oh God, this is good. Still okay. Still just very similar to what it was before, just with a hair bit more texture now from the addition of water. Maybe a little bit more cinnamon stick. Yeah, with the exception of, you know, some of the really weird stuff coming out of like Trinidad recently, like the TDL stuff. This really feels like about as best as you're going to get from an industrial column still. This is really nice. Score wise, I don't know. It's better. It's higher than the 043, but not by much. Pretty close, but I would still give the second bottle, the 059, 88 points. 88 points. Certainly worth your consideration if you were in the market for like older, delicious wood-driven rums. And now, God help me, God help my palate, we're going to move back to the Clarendons. All right, back to the 23-year-old, the 430 to 893. Yeah, lots of pepper, lots of exotic woods, incense, flowers, that kind of cola concentrate, like Pepsi reduction, whatever I said. Almost like a green curry note happening. So as if someone like accidentally dumps some Pepsi into their green curry, which sounds disgusting, but that's what it is. Yeah, really interesting. Still definitely like, it's more austere. It's harder going than the New Yarmouths. But if you were willing to fight with this, to kind of struggle with it, it feels like you reap the rewards. All right, let's see what happens in the palate. Oh, man. So, whoa. So out of nowhere, this just turned into a mar on me. This just turned into like a pomace brandy. Jesus. Wow. So, okay, if you have this bottle, I know you're a hardcore bro, and you're like, no, I never add water to anything. I'm just going to put it in my glass and drink it like that. Please, please, for your own sake, add some water to this. It really likes water. Wow. Okay, so the development and finish on this previously were kind of brutal and a little bit hard to take. You add water, you put this down to 40, 50%, somewhere around there, and it just develops beautifully. Like the development just keeps going and going and going and kind of changing itself up. And it really acts, yeah, kind of like a pomace brandy. There's lots of tobacco, lots of tea leaves, and just like this woody power to it. Yeah, lots of pepper. Very, 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 very peppery. Lots of wood. Oh, man. Yeah, this is good. The development is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know what, like, okay. Can I give this a 90? I mean, this is the advantages of being a pot still rum, right? You just have a higher ceiling. There's just you get all those little variables right, and it just the quality is fantastic. Even if you're not cranking up the esters or anything special like that. So on my initial run through these to make my notes here, I gave this a 90, and coming back to it, the palate is like definitely a 90, maybe a 90 plus. And that's coming back from not being a 90 when I was trying it neat. It was more like an 88 plus. So like I graded this more like an 88 plus 2. But, coming to it again, like for like the third or fourth time, God, the development is so good. But I don't think the nose is up there. I don't think the nose can kind of pull it off the way the palate can. So I'm going to leave this at an 89 plus. 89 plus out of 100 for this. 23-year-old Clarendon. It's right there. It really is right there. And if you're the kind of person who isn't like me and isn't like constantly sticking your nose into the Glencairn glass and trying to like, sniff this stuff, if you don't care, if you're just tossing it back, this is the best thing here, probably. We shall see. We're going to try the last glass again. But for me, 89 plus. All right, back to the what is this? 433,946. And this will be the last of the day. Not a ton of development. It feels like it softens up a little bit. I get almost like a potpourri cake thing from this. So I don't know if that even makes sense, but if you were to make a cake out of potpourri, That doesn't make sense. Forgot I said anything. More pepper, maybe? It's a good nose. It's less kind of exotic and floral than the previous glass on the nose, but yeah, there's a little bit more tobacco going on the nose, more pepper. It's a good. The nose on this is really, by comparison, right up there with the previous glass. So I'm really curious what the palate does. Here we go. What I'm hoping is, because I was complaining about the form of this previously, this 26-year-old Clarendon, because it just dies like halfway through my mouth. There's no mouth length on this, so I'm hoping water will help with that. Water helps with that. Not too terribly much. It just kind of... Okay, so now it's behaving like what I would expect a normal 26-year-old low-ester pot still rum to behave like. So it's got more mouth length to it, not a ton though. More ashy, more tobacco-y, and tea leafy, but we're not entering like full-blown Mar territory like we were with the 23-year-old. I'm not being kind enough to this. This is good. This is very good, actually. The pepper is intense. I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of intermingled with this kind of aromatic, exotic wood thing, the balsa wood thing again. And a little bit of amberana as well. So, a little bit of cinnamon stick happening. Some nuttiness, orange peel. This is good. The only problem with this, really, is it just doesn't feel quite as special as the previous bottle, but it's right up there. I like this a lot. 88 points. I'm going to give this the same score as the second New Yarmouth. And yeah, there you go. That is your order. My favorite is the 23-year-old Clarendon, the 432 893. Actually, the youngest of the bunch, right? The other Clarendon, the 26-year-old, is my second favorite. The 435 059 is the Yarmouth comes in really ties in second with the other Monimus. This is so yummy. Like I was just drinking this, right? Like this, you're drinking lane cake and ash. That's what it is. Well, really, like lane cake and burned marshmallows. That's what this tastes like, and it's great. But that's not to take away from the other New Yarmouth, the 435 043, 87 plus. People who really want something that's a little bit more austere in their column still rum might actually prefer this. So don't take this off the radar. Yeah, 87 plus, 88 for these two, 89 plus for this 23-year-old. All pretty damn good. And would they all Mai Tai? Yes, they would. Did I come out of all four of these bottles having paid considerably less than I would have for a bottle of Appleton 17? Yes, I did. And maybe that's the lesson here. Thanks for watching and cheers.